Star Chase Essential, where time is of the essence. And we are talking about all things Charles Hamilton, music, moments, and everything in between. I'm Stik Bryson.
And I am Mike D. Jackson.
What's up, man? You don't have to tell anybody that I just messed up that intro at least twice. How are you doing?
I wasn't, and I'm not going to. I'm doing good, man. I'm feeling good compared to some other weeks.
Yeah.
This weather's still crazy though. I ain't gonna lie. I don't know when you guys are gonna be listening to this, but I'm just telling you, the weather's crazy.
Yeah.
Weather's just crazy, man. But I'm good though, personally. From my own standpoint, I'm good.
Well, that's good. That's always a good thing. I see you got the Shawn Michaels shirt on right now.
Yeah, I do. HBK, even though he's not my favorite, you already know who the favorite is. Bret the
Right.
Hitman Hart. But that's neither here or there. I can say this as a Bret Hart fan. I can be honest and respect the work that Shawn Michaels has put in. Because at that point, if you're just saying that he's not good, like you're just a liar. You're just
Yeah.
a damn liar. Compared to other people I know that like Shawn Michaels, like, oh, I just never like Bret Hart. I'm like, you don't have to like him, but the
Right.
work, it's about respecting someone's craft and the time they put in, the time and effort they put into something. You don't have to necessarily like it. You got to respect it. And speaking of that, that's what we're doing today with this tape. We're respecting the craft of Charles Hamilton.
Yeah. We are. That's good. That was actually good, and with time in there too. That's actually pretty solid. You're getting
Yes,
better
sir.
at this.
Appreciate
Um,
it.
you're getting better at this. I was gonna say, a few years ago, like maybe 10 or 15 years ago, you wearing that shirt and being a Bret Hart fan would have been sacrilegious.
It would have, and I
Yeah.
would have never done it. I would have never done it. But at this point, they've hugged it out, man. I actually
Yeah.
seen it on like a video where they're talking about, hey, man, it's just crazy how things happen. I'm not gonna say they're the best of friends, but
Right.
they're definitely on good terms now. So that's always good to see. But you already know how I know. It doesn't matter if I wore this or a Bret Hart shirt. Some kid that's 15 is going to come up to me saying, hey, who's Shawn Michaels? And I'm like, fuck you, kid. How about that? Get the fuck out of my face. If I wore a John Cena shirt, you know who he is.
Yeah.
But no hate to John Cena because I got John Cena jersey. So
Today we are gonna talk about a closer than recent tape than what we've been, reviewing so far. This is Chronometry, by Charles Hamilton, man. Do you have the facts on this?
all right, yes. Chronometry came out in 2014, like we said, sometime recent. While I was listening to this tape recently, I believe that is not necessarily stated like officially by Charles, but in some of the songs, I believe that he was signed at this time. He wasn't on Republic yet, but he might have had something going on, at least brewing, what Turn First Records, which there's some company out in London, which I'll be honest, when I first heard Charles say, oh, I got a deal out in London, I'm like, this might be, is y'all know when Charles talks about certain topics is like little iffy, little, hey, London means this
Yeah.
and Chicago means that, and it's cryptic. And I no, he's talking about London Bridge falling down. That's what he's talking about. But one of the things that's crazy about this tape, the name Chronometry, I had to look it up.
Mhm.
Stik, do you know what chronometry means or the definition of chronometry?
My bachelor in English wouldn't let me not figure out what it was, but tell the people what it is.
All right. Listen, I don't have none of that, so I wouldn't know either. So chronometry is the science of accurate time measurement.
Mhm.
That is the definition of it. So what I think Charles is trying to do with this tape, we were talking about timing earlier. A
Mhm.
lot of things that has happened in Charles' career hasn't always been kind to him with time,
Mhm.
but he's always on time with delivering projects, trying to make sure that we understand, like, hey, when I drop this project, there's a certain reason behind it. There's a lot of times Charles has dozens of projects and he'll say, hey, I have this project, I'm gonna drop it 6 months from now. We're like, why not drop it now? And
Mhm.
there's a certain timing, like there's a method to his madness. And I believe he's trying to explain a little bit of his method and his madness with this project as well.
Okay. Because I was definitely going to ask you, like, what did you think the title of the project meant? Because I'm looking at some of the names of the songs and I'm like, I can't piece it together. Uh, but yeah, I like that theory because he is very specific and like we've been talking about before, like you just never know when he's gonna drop something. He can drop something randomly, and that's just the time it's supposed to do. And sometimes it would be like, oh, today's July, whatever. Let me drop 4 or 5 projects at once. So like you never know like what his accurate measurement of time is something different from what everybody else does. And so like, yeah, that's interesting. Plus, he's always been not necessarily obsessed with time, but like the whole Sonic and that's kind of a measurement of time because you're trying to figure it's basically a time trial. Sonic is basically a time trial game. If you really think about it, you have 10 minutes to get from A to B and to complete the goal. And you know, I wonder what this zone per se, the time frame was supposed to be. Because I didn't even think about trying to. I almost did. No lie. I almost added the song length of each song and added it up to see if it meant something. I was really close.
Well, you do know, if you guys don't know, Charles is very particular with numbers too.
Mhm.
You know, there's numerology and all that. So, for example, he always talks about sixes,
Yep.
and I know there's fours and threes, and every number has a different meaning. Obviously, sevens, good luck and whatnot. But I would say this. So, like you said, with the whole Sonic thing, you know, you have 10 minutes to get through the zone. Also, let's say if you're an artist, most songs aren't going to be 10 minutes, but whatever the length of the song is, whether it's 3 minutes, 4 minutes, 5 minutes, you have to make sure you get your point across within that time frame. If
Yep.
you don't, same thing, game over, you know? So I think with him, he's trying to get through the zone,
Mhm.
get through these talking points. And the biggest thing about this is one of the tapes where some people might be iffy on this, but hear us out. This
Mhm.
is one of the tapes where you could either consider it lo-fi, but you could also consider it, you know, one of the freestyle tapes because Charles isn't writing on this. I wouldn't necessarily call it lo-fi sound wise. I think it's pretty audible sound wise compared to maybe some projects in 2011, 2012. But this is within that category. But I think that if you guys check it out and you listen to our standpoint on it, you might have a different opinion on it if you're kind of iffy on that at first. But I think that's what Charles is trying to do. Give his standpoint, give his bottom line on songs while he's doing his thing, you know, freestyling on the beat and trying to convince us, hey, this is what I'm here to do, this is what I came to do.
Mhm.
And that's it.
So just remind me, was this your first time listening to this tape?
I'll be honest, I don't know.
Okay.
I feel like I might have heard the tape previously back
Mhm.
in 2014,
Mhm.
but you know, as we said, Charles comes out with a lot of projects. At this time, I was very selective of what I heard. There's one or two songs I actually did hear
Mhm.
from this tape that I can tell you, oh yeah, I heard this, you know. But other tapes, I mean, other songs, I'm like, I don't really remember this. So it's possible that I did hear this, but it's a thing of me when I first listened to it, it wasn't the greatest listen because I didn't really give, you know, my all into it, wasn't really checking it out. I'm like, okay, all right, this is cool.
Gotcha.
But now that we're removed several years, it's like, okay, I can actually kind of visualize this and give it a second listen
Mhm.
compared to how it was before in 2014. And that was a while ago. What very recent, like you said, compared to some of these other tapes we've done in 2008, 2009,
Right.
and all that.
Yeah, so I know I've listened to this tape before. I don't think I listened to it right away, like not when it dropped in 2014. Maybe a little later, like a few years later,
Mm-hmm.
because I got back into like, oh, let's listen to some Charles to see what he's been up to since whatever. Um, and I think I'm like you. I gave like a cursory type of listen, so I was listening for what I was into at the time. So I wasn't necessarily listening for content. I wasn't listening for. I was listening to what sounded good to me. And I remember after I listened to it, I was like, I want these 2 songs, and I added it to my iPod or whatever I had at the time. So like,
Right.
and cool. And I was like, all right, bet. So I still had the tape downloaded or whatever. So this is cool because it was I mean it's another few years since then. And now I can kind of, now that I'm listening for a more comprehensive type of listen, I'm able to listen to stuff with a more closer ear, if that makes sense. So yeah, I'm ready to get this a great listen. And yeah, let's get right into it, man.
All right, let's do it. Let's do it.
It opens up with Bear Nabisco.
All
And
right, so
yeah, go ahead.
uh, so when I first heard this, first time, I think, like I said, this is why I'm like, I'm pretty sure I've heard this tape before, but it's one of those things where the beat when I first heard it was kind of jarring. I think when, like back in 2014, I'm like,
Mhm,
okay, all right, but listen to it now because I've done two listens. I actually listened to this project in the car while I was driving, and
mhm,
also listen to it at home in earbuds, which is normally, I guess, the preferred method. But listening to it now, and
mhm,
then I could actually pick out, okay, he's definitely freestyling on this tape. I think it's a pretty good intro. I like the beat a little bit more now. Like I
mhm,
say, compared to some other stuff Charles has made before. At the time, I was like, I get it, but it's like, I think that's what made me pass on it at first. But like now, I'm like, it's a good intro. I like it compared to how the rest of this tape goes. I'm like, good intro. He sets it up well. I like it.
okay. Um, so it's yeah, I put it in my good category. I think like it's a solid song. I wonder, did you get kind of like a could you say the beat is kind of jarring? Did you get kind of like a modern disco feel?
I wouldn't have said that, but that's a great way of putting it. I think that's the best way of saying that because I'm not sure exactly what he sampled on there, but just how I'm thinking about it now, that does sound kind of like a disco type of thing. And Charles is always known to, especially now of recent, he samples a lot of funk, a lot of songs from that era and
Yeah.
whatnot. It does have a somewhat of a modern disco feel to it. I like the way that you explain that. Yeah, I get
The
that.
reason
Yeah.
I asked is because like as I was listening to the song, like he's rapping and doing some good stuff on there, but then he gets to the hook and he's like,
Where does this go? 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 Where does this go?
my mind is like disco, disco, disco. I'm like, I wonder if there's like a correlation there with those two things. Because that's kind of what I got. Because it's the beat it has a bop enough where you do kind of like you start jamming a little bit. And I'm wondering if that connection is supposed to be made in that sense. But I don't know. But that's what I got out of it.
Or he's not saying, oh, well, he ain't saying where does this go?
Mhm,
But instead of it being disco, it's
mhm.
Nabisco. Maybe
Oh
it's a
yeah.
play on maybe it's a play on words, you know? Like
Yeah,
and
that's
also
true.
personally with me, when I think of Nabisco, I think of cookies. I just think of the cookies, man. I don't
I
know
mean, I
why.
feel like everybody does. Yeah.
Yeah. I think of the cookies, but it could, you know, a lot of times songs are up to everyone's own interpretation. So it could be a whole thing of disco, could be because a lot of times with these songs Charles does make, regardless if he's freestyle or not, he does want us to dance to it, wants to have
Mhm.
some type of certain groove to it. So it could be disco, could be Nabisco. You could be on the dance floor eating cookies. You could be sitting down eating cookies. Y'all don't know. You never know, man.
Yeah.
Now I've personally never been on the dance floor eating cookies. I don't know who does that, but you never know, man. I've seen someone on the dance floor with wings though, with a plate of wings. I've seen that. I can tell you that. I can tell you that.
I don't want to be nowhere near that person at all.
No,
um,
I, I was at least like 6 feet away recording. Like, okay, they got wings on the floor. Don't spill them on me because they're barbecue wings too.
oh God, what?
Yeah, they're barbecue wings. I'm like, all right, that's cool.
That person's a psychopath. Next up is BDBs, which translates to blue denim blankets.
Yes, sir.
This was one of those songs that when I heard it that first time a few years ago, I was like, I like the song. Like it was very, I don't know what it was about it, but it was just very inviting, very I don't know, it felt like a bop. It was a bop for me.
Okay,
Um and it to me like the song was just kind of, and I'm not sure if the girl is Jamise, I think was her name in the song.
Damaris.
Nah, not Jamaris, because
Okay,
I love that song by the way. I can't wait to talk about that one. That's one of my favorite songs ever. No, I think Jamise, I think was the name in the song, but it's yeah, I felt like it was just a song about somebody or a significant other that's just really, you know, they're like your security blanket. Like everything's good when they're around you, when you're holding on to them, when you're attached to them.
Right.
How did you feel about the song?
All right. So I was so when you first hear the song, like you said, it's inviting. And you know what it is? Because the song, the sample,
Mm.
it sounds like a nighttime lullaby type of song that you might play for like your child. You're trying to put them to sleep, you're trying to calm them down, something like
Yep.
that. Something very relaxing. So I'm
Mhm.
like, okay, could put you in the okay, I could just lay down, catch some Z's.
Mhm.
But what threw me off first, how he starts the song off, my blankie, my blankie.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
like, so at first I'm like, all right, Charles,
right.
all right, what are you doing? What are you doing, man? But he does reel you back in because there is a message in the song, like you said. He's either talking about his actual blanket, because he's talking about taking it everywhere and feeling so secure with your blanket, and
Mhm.
that's a real thing. Like I think about Linus from Charlie
Yeah,
Brown,
yep,
blanket everywhere, took the blanket everywhere, never let go of it.
yeah.
So it's one of those things. And also, that was a blue. I don't know about being
That was
blue.
blue. It was a blue
It was
blanket.
blue.
Yep.
It was blue. So it could be a thing of Charles. He might be talking about like if he was like in Linus's shoes, but like you said, if it's a woman or anybody, just whoever it is, it could be music. It's
Mhm.
something or someone that makes you feel so safe and secure, and you want to take that person or thing with you everywhere. And there is a deep meaning to it. So he did bring me back in, and the verses were very solid. This is one of the things where I was very impressed by this song and a couple others because I'm like, even though he's freestyling, he's sticking to the point. He's sticking to the description of the song,
Yeah,
and like you said, you can visualize it and be like, okay. But it was at first the whole my blankie and him saying it like that. If he just said it like my blankie, I was
yeah,
like, okay. But I'm like my blankie, my blankie. I think about I forget what movie it is, but it's like an old school movie. It was like boss, the plane, the
yeah, yeah.
plane. but I'm cool with the song, man. I really do like it. Like that's the only thing I was just like iffy about at first, but I generally like the song though.
My Blinky, I love my Blinky. You're such an angel to me. Ain't she beautiful? Laying with her, looking at my dead skin and cuticles from my toes. There's some things I don't wanna know, but the beauty of it all is I can curl up into a ball and sleep under my Blinky.
I feel like he has to say it like that though, because I don't know if just saying my blankie in like a normal tone is gonna get it done. You feel me? Because then it might sound weirder actually. Because then he's like, wait, what? I feel like I wish I could just go back in time and just like watch myself listen to this song for the first time to see if I
Right.
had the same reaction. Like, wait, excuse me? But I think that kind of adds to the song because it is like a childlike wonder. Because like that's how kids are, man. Like babies or like little kids who like have like a stuffed animal, like a blanket in the situation. That's how they kind of talk at that time.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So like it kind of brings that childlike wonder or that childlike innocence that a kid would have, but you have it in this situation for whatever the blankie represents in this song. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get it. At the end of the day, you do have a point where if you probably said it like regular, it probably. But here's the thing too, with music, sometimes the most off-putting thing or catching thing is the reason why you stay tuned to the song.
Mhm.
At the same time, if you don't have anything that catches your ear, whether it's the beat, some type of lyric or something like that,
Mhm.
you might be like, yeah, it's a good song, skip. It's okay, song, skip. Because
Yeah.
think about it now, like, I mean, music's been like this, but TikTok now, like a lot of these songs that are trending, it's something that was said, like one line or verse. Everyone's like, oh, yeah, you remember this one song, this, and that.
Yeah.
And most of the songs aren't even good, but it's just like, oh, but it caught my attention for those
Yep.
first like 4 seconds, caught my attention. And then with this song, it caught my attention right from the beginning, but it was actually a good song. So I'm
Mhm.
like, you know what? I heard that part, the blankie part, but I'm staying for the rest of the song, and I enjoy the song. So shout out to Charles for that, because that might have been something that he planned, but who knows?
Next up is Department of Social Services.
All right. So this song and the next song, this is what I consider like great beats, great freestyling.
Mhm.
And even if you don't necessarily have a subject, it's one of those things where it doesn't matter. You could carry yourself through if you're rapping and or freestyling well. I really like this song. I like Department of Social Services. It's one of those things where some of the names on these projects, I'm like, why did he name it this?
Mhm.
I don't know, but I like the song. I definitely like the song. Nice song.
I had it in the good category. It's cool. I don't know if it's one that I'm gonna instantly like run back to because I like I said the beat is good. The beat is really good. That's the Jackson 5 sample.
Yes.
Yes. So I like that, and he chops it up really good. Where it's like if you're not paying attention, you'll miss that it is a Jackson 5 sample. Um, but yeah, it's cool. I'm not in love with the hook, and I feel like Charles is one of, like the better like for us like or for me, right?
Right.
Like he's one of the better like hook masters, like as far as like infectious and kind of you want to do the callback with him or whatever. And that one's okay, but I feel like it's not like the most masterful one he does. The next song, obviously, is really good to me. And I
Yeah.
want to talk about that when we get to it. But yeah, Department of Social Service is cool. But again, also interesting. It's like we're coming off a blue denim blanket, right?
Right.
Then we go into Department of Social Services. And when I think of Department of Social Services, I'm thinking like it could be a multitude of things, right?
Yeah.
So
It's
it's like,
usually not
where's
good.
the connection there?
Usually not good. It's like, ah man, why are they over here? Oh
Right.
jeez. What I will say is this. I think a lot of times when Charles wants to make songs like these,
Mhm.
like I said, I think it's more about him wanting to flow and freestyle. And of course, you kind of have to have a hook. This isn't back in the days where it was like the 80s where you had a hook. No,
Mhm.
you had a verse, and then the hook of the chorus was just the 8 bar beat, and you just was quiet.
Yeah.
And it's like sometimes that's cool, but like these days, you definitely can't do that unless the beat's just masterful or something like that.
Mhm.
But I know, like you said, with the Jackson 5 beat, I think the thing that made me a little bit biased of liking it a little bit more than maybe
Mhm.
other people might like it. So, like I said, it's the Jackson 5 sample. What it makes me think about is crisscross jump, because I think it's like the same type of beat that they use, kind of similar.
Yeah.
So, like, it sounds
Yeah.
because like it makes me think about that, how he chopped it up. I thought about that, and he's just talking about in the hook. He's like, "I want it, I want it with y'all." So so you know how Charles is when he wants to talk his shit. He's like, "Look, this is who I am. This is what I'm doing, and y'all aren't better than me." I do hear in some of these songs there is like a bit of, I guess, disdain. That might not be the right word, but especially around this time, he was still going through the whole people say my music's not good. They don't like this. They don't like that. And then I think he really wanted to prove to people like, hey, like if this is the type of energy you want, because there were conflicting ideas of people saying you should write more, you should record like this more, record like that more. And I think he's trying to meet it in the middle where he's still trying to do it at his own level, but still trying to satisfy the masses. And I felt like in a good way of compromising for him and the fans, he did a really good job of it. But I do like it. I really do like this. One of my favorites.
Next one is Pedigree is dog food, I believe is what it's called. Let me see. Hold up, make sure I got it.
Oh wait,
No,
no,
I'm sorry, that's incorrect. Harlem's Verbal Kent is next. My fault.
you're good.
Yeah, Harlem's Verbal Kent is next. What did you think about that one? I also had that in the good category.
Okay, so with this one, like I said, with this song in Department of Social Services, like I said, I feel like this is Charles doing a great job with like picking a great beat, sampling it,
Mhm.
and then also freestyling well to the point of, because there's times where like I'll hear a Charles song where he's freestyling or he's writing in his head, whichever you prefer. He'll write in his head, he'll freestyle, and it's good, but there's no, I guess there's no story to it sometimes. Sometimes it doesn't have to be,
Right.
but it's like he'll start over here, then he'll start over there, then he'll go over here, go over there. But with those last two songs, I feel like he did a great job kind of just sticking to a point. What
Mhm.
Harlem's Verbal Kent, I really like this too. There was this point in time where I do remember people saying, "Hey, the energy when you're rapping is just off. Like it might be a thing of like being depressed, being upset, and
Mhm.
not translating well in the music. Because when people are sad and they make sad songs, sometimes it's like, oh, this is the greatest thing I've ever heard. but it's like sad, mopey music that people weren't really agreeing with. So with this song, I feel like if anyone is to tell Charles, hey, when you freestyle or you're not writing, your energy is off. This is the energy I think that Charles needs. It's the type of energy where he's focused, he's determined, and not saying that he wasn't determined before, because Charles would always say, he would always try to tell people, I am determined, I am focused, but it's like, this is what we're talking about sound-wise. Sound-wise, this is what we're talking about. Great freestyling, great beat, and like I said, staying on topic, staying on the point. Sometimes I think he's kind of sing-songy in the hook, the chorus, and I think he stays at his limit, his level that he normally is at, because sometimes he'll start to, I don't want to say yodel, he's not yodeling, but sometimes like he'll kind of go off on a tangent of singing, and he'll try to make something, and it's like it just doesn't connect properly. But I felt like he connected the dots really well on this song right here, along with the last song. But this is another one of my favorites as well.
All I do is spit riddles that are so transparent to your eyes. Apparently these niggas is married to lies, and I don't feel like carrying guys. Click, clack, surprise. Someone out there save me.
Any thought process from you as far as the title?
Harlem's Verbal Kent. First thing I think of is Clark Kent, but he didn't mention Superman or anything like that. Of course, him being from Harlem. I really didn't connect anything with it, to be honest. What about you?
I have nothing. I was racking my brain today. It's like, what am I missing? And I was trying to listen to a song, trying to figure it out, but it wasn't connected for me. So I don't know. It'd be interesting to know though.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think overall, like you said, we're talking about chronometry and timing, and time explains all in due time. So of course, when Charles hears this, he can definitely explain it to us. Appreciate him. Shout out to Charles for checking out all the episodes so far, and also filling in some areas that we're not exactly expertise in, that we're not experts in, because there's been sometimes I've seen him comment saying, hey, this song was about this, or this was written at this time, and etc. So and also for any Star Chasers as well, if you guys know anything that we don't, if you have heard this tape, feel free to let us know as well, because I think it helps solidify the legacy of Charles more, because Charles' biggest thing so far has been, hey, they're not recognizing me for my talents and for what I've done. And Charles has so many great projects and songs that the more that we do this and the more that we continue to talk about him, the easier his name goes out there and more of the stuff gets publicized, because Charles is from the blog era, and we all know a lot of stuff in the blog era, it's gone. If you were there, we remember it, but if you weren't, you can't look it up. You have to basically look at me or Stik or even Charles, if you can get in contact with them and say, hey, what does this mean? What was this about? So
yeah, I feel like we're doing some good stuff right now, and I'm glad it's been dope to see like all the Star Chasers come out. Some like I haven't seen in years, and some new ones that I've never actually had interactions with, and just everybody appreciating like the music and Charles, and it's been real cool to see. I'm glad we're doing this.
Definitely.
Pedigree is dog food. That was actually the one I was talking about as far as like I feel like he did a really good job with it. I really, really, really like this song. I love this song actually. I'm not sure why it didn't connect with me the first time I listened to this, but it's a good. I like the sample. I wish I've heard the sample before. You know what I'm saying? I know it, but I can't tell you what it is. But it's a great sample, and it's really slowed down. And then the verses are dope, but I really want to focus on the hook.
Right.
I believe the hooks goes.
If you love that gangsta shit, all it does is poison you. Let me help you let it loose. I can make you feel brand new. I'll just poison you. It's really hard to try to feel yourself.
So it's like it's an interesting like thing. Like, is he saying that it's better if I if I do the poisoning versus you poisoning yourself by listening to this or like by enjoying this music, or what did you get from that hook?
All right, so the name, first of all, that is correct. Pedigree is dog food.
It
Never
is.
seen
It's 100%. It's also Triple H's finisher, but that's another story for another.
I've never seen a cat version of pedigree. You know, I'm like, no, it's dog food, still dog food. So, I do agree with you on that. Like with the hook, it definitely has a meaning to it, because the reason why I bring that up, because I do remember it was maybe like 2 years ago or something like that. I seen this interview with Diddy, right? And Diddy was saying something similar along the lines of, oh, you know, don't sign to the, and you know, let me be politically correct. Don't sign to the palm colored, you know, sign to me. Don't give them all your money. Give me your money. And it's like, are you supposed to be helping me? Like, are you like, it's like, oh, you know, don't let those strangers take advantage of you. Let me take advantage of you. Now, I'm not saying that that's what Charles is trying to do, or that's what he's saying, but I do think that he's saying that, like, with a lot of, like, I won't even say gangster music, with a lot of, there's music that's violent, overly sexual and whatnot. And it's in the mainstream where it's like, hey, we all know it's not good for you. We see the type of imagery that they promote, whether it's online and music videos, marketing, ads, and people, you know, end up having so many mental and body issues because of it. And Charles has been in the industry, so he's like, hey, you know, don't go down that road. I've been down that road.
Right.
But my music, of course, I'm not perfect either. I'm not a saint either, but you should check it out from my standpoint. So at least I could guide you through a little better, because at the end of the day, we all have our own vices and our own issues, our own problems. But it's like, hey, this is kind of like a choose your own adventure. You go down that road and be poisoned by people that don't care. But at least with me, if I do poison you, I feel like with him, he's saying, you know, it'll be little doses. It's not going to be a whole batch where you're going to OD, you know. But he definitely has a message and a meaning in the song. One of the things I wrote down was that he kind of a little bit in this song, he kind of talks about like his relationship and just feeling towards fans and music and whatnot. And like I kind of mentioned earlier, he's mentioned about, okay, fans saying I need to do this and do that, and I'm not necessarily in the greatest position right now, because I'm kind of like at a standstill. Like, do I continue making music the way I want to, but not making any money from it? Or do I sign again? Do I sign again and be part of the regime, be part of an industry that doesn't really care about people? Because at the end of the day, Charles, we know he cares about people. He reaches out to his fans. He talks to us. He just talks to random people too. But it's pretty interesting. It's pretty interesting, to say the least. I'll say that.
Yeah, I and there's another point in the song where he's kind of saying, you know, when I was rapping about positivity and stuff like that, it's like, oh, they weren't listening to me or whatever. So at least now I'm like, well, if you want to listen to negative stuff, at least let me do it in my way or whatever. And it was just interesting that how this song came to be and how the message is both a not a positive, but it's just twofold. It's like double-edged sword, right? It's like, I'm trying to help you by not letting you follow this gangster stuff, but like, if you do want to be poisoned, if you do want to go through these vices or whatever, at least let me lead you to it myself, because at least I know how to come from the other side of it. You know what I mean?
True. It's one of those things where it's more of a everyone tries to be, oh, I'm the good this, I'm the good that. It's like sometimes not necessarily about being good and evil, good and bad. It's about being real. What's actually real. Like, hey, I'll show you what's behind the curtain. You might not like it, and don't blame me for it. But I just want to let you know, like, what you're looking for might not necessarily be exactly right there. But there is some stuff behind there that I think you need to check out.
Yeah. Back-to-back great songs. Ralph Nader, again, one of my favorite songs. That was the other song that when I first listened to it, I picked up immediately. Great message. Great message.
I don't give a fuck about what people say. I don't give a fuck about what people say. I say, neither should you, unless I own the motherfuckers.
So this is one of the reasons why I was saying, hey, I think I might have heard the tape before because I do remember hearing this song personally. And also, if I remember correctly, there was a video out for Ralph Nader, along with Hotel Talk.
Yeah.
So I remember, and it was funny because at the time, like, I think Charles had like a website. He had like a website where like if you wanted to see it, you had to look it up there. But that's been gone now. So you can see the video for that on YouTube at Vision. Shout out to Vision, Marcus. But really good song. One of my favorites, like you said. I think a lot of people, this is like the first song almost everyone heard, especially if you listen to the tape around that time. But it's a really good message, and I hate to say that it sounds cliche, like I don't give a fuck, because apparently nobody gives a fuck now. It's like about opinions, you shouldn't give a fuck about.
Right.
You shouldn't. I agree with that.
Do you know who Ralph Nader is?
So if you were to be like, hey, give a quick definition and a biography of him, I'm not fucking doing that. I'm not very familiar, somewhat familiar with Nader though. Yes, I am familiar with Nader. But if you were like, hey, when was he born? Did he? I'm like, we're not doing all that. But I'm somewhat familiar with him.
Yeah, I mean, I obviously couldn't do that either. I just use Google because it's free.
But hey, man, say that again for everyone listening. You know, for the star chasers and the non-star chasers, just Google's what? What is it?
It's free, bro. Like that's why when people ask questions, I'm like, listen, I don't mind people asking questions, but like for certain questions, I'm like, hey, yo, dog, you got a phone that has the internet immediately on there. Just look that junk up, bro.
Google's free.
They not gonna stop. They're not charging you.
They're not. Look it up yourself, please. Just type. For example, Ralph Nader. You could be like, go on Google, Ralph Nader. Pops up instantly. Pops up. Amazing.
I can understand if we're having a conversation. You're like, oh, you know, cool, that's fine. But if like you're actually asking for like educational purposes and like you need to know the answer, like life or death, just look it up. It's fine. No one's gonna think lowly of you. I promise you. Ralph Nader was a political activist, man. Did a lot of different things. But he was very highly involved in consumer protection, environmentalism, and government reform. I could probably see why why this was called Ralph Nader, because Ralph definitely was. I think he went against the grain per se, as far as like, oh, everybody's like, oh, you know, let's just keep doing this, and Ralph's like, nah, and he calls out people for certain stuff, and I think that he just did not give a fuck about what people thought about that. He was gonna say what he had to say, and that's what it is.
True. It's always crazy because when you have someone that goes against the grain in any type of way, it could be by a little or a lot. Mm-hmm. Status quo. The status quo of everyone around is just like, did he just say that? Wait, did he just do that? Yeah. So it's always confusing for a lot of people because everyone just thinks about, okay, we do A, B, and C. We do 1, 2, and 3, and that's it. You can't deviate from that. And then there's some people that do, and people just get mind boggled by it. They're just like, man, what the hell's going on? This guy is crazy. And it's not even necessarily about being crazy. One of the things I personally learned in life, everything really is not black and white. It's you could do good and a bad thing happens. You can do bad, a good thing happens. It's whatever you want to do personally, but just don't blame nobody for it. You know, like you know what you signed up for personally. Let's keep it real. Like when it comes to situations in life, if you don't know, like we said, Google it, do your research first. But after that, it's your decision. Do what you want to do.
Very much agree with that, my friend. Next one is Bird Country. I will let you go first. I'll let you go first, and then I have a tale about Indiana.
Man, I wish I had a story about Indiana. I don't. But so with Bird Country, when I first heard it, I'm like, all right. So because it's some type of country sample. Mm-hmm. But I will say this. I I do like the song. I think it's a decent song. Charles, I guess he has in the song he's talking about Indiana and his story about Indiana, maybe his first time going there. It's one of those things where I'm not sure why he would go there at any point in time. But what I took from it was that anytime when you're out of your element, because let's say, Charles from Harlem. I mean, we know the whole Cleveland thing, but Charles from Harlem, and you think about that being from like New York, and then you go to Indiana, it's like that's a culture shock for most people. Living's completely different, people are different, attitudes are different, lifestyles different, and then it just makes you think like, oh wow. The closest thing I ever had to that was for my job in Delaware. Yeah, man. No, but look, the closest thing I had, like at least for my job being from Delaware, I had to travel to South Carolina. I went to South Carolina before, and I'm like, this is completely different from Delaware. I'm like, wow. So, but I do like the song. I like the message he kind of displays, where he's just talking about, hey, like I'm somewhere different. It's not really home for me, but I think I can be all right here. One thing I will say that kind of bothered me is more only on the first verse. You definitely hear Charles, he's freestyling and he does his one take thing, and water. Give me a second real quick. All right. That's what Charles doesn't do on the song. He his voice starts getting a little scratchy and whatnot, and you can hear him like his voice is a little scratchy, but he's still freestyling and he still delivers the verse. But that's one of my biggest takeaways, where it's like, hey man, it's okay to like redo it, just clear your throat and then get back to it. But I do understand the whole essence of flowing and freestyling. You gotta restart your verse over, and you didn't write it, so the verse is going to come out completely different. But that's one thing that I was like, come on, man, like clear your throat, man. Pause. Clear your throat.
It's crazy. I didn't even notice that when I was listening to it. Mainly because I realized he was talking about Indiana. First off, let's get one thing straight. If we have any star chasers from Indiana, no, this isn't really about you. Okay, this isn't about you. This is about me and your state. I don't like Indiana under any circumstances. So when I was in college, listening to Charles Hamilton, of course, obviously, I played basketball at my school, and for years, if we had a Thanksgiving tournament, we had it at home. So we would have like 2 days. Like it would be like we would go to Thanksgiving. Oh, was that how we did it? We probably had like the week before, or like the week we would have like a 2-day tournament. We go home for Thanksgiving, come back.
All right.
Okay, so my senior year, I look at the schedule, and we have a Thanksgiving tournament away in bumfuck Indiana. And I'm like, wait, what? So, like, first time going to Indiana, I'm like, all right, bro, let's just at least go take care of our business or whatever. Go home. But then I think, like, dog, I'm about to miss my grandma's Thanksgiving meal to be in Indiana. So we go. It's a 6 hour. I think it's like a 6 hour drive from where we were from. We get there. It's like it's raining, but like we get to the hotel. The hotel has a club in it, bro. I'm like, yeah, it was like a dance joint. I was like, we heard it coming in. I looked at the coach. I'm like, yo, dog, we're here. You brought us here when I could be at home. Can we at least go there? It's like, no, we got friends. I'm like, dog, get the fuck out of here. So already it's off to a bad start. We have Thanksgiving dinner. I was like, how are we doing Thanksgiving dinner? We have our first game. We win the first game. We have our Thanksgiving dinner. You know where we have it at? At a fucking buffet. Oh. So like a Golden Corral style buffet. And
man,
I kind of could guess it, but like there weren't a lot of me in Indiana at this buffet. It was
wasn't a bunch of us.
Nah, not at all. And so I'm trying to get the food, and like they're just staring, bro. I'm like, And I'm being real nice. I'm like, hey, how you doing? Da, da, da. Just like, whatever. Da, da, da. So then comes
Right.
the championship game. We're number 2 in the country. Bro, you know we lose that game, bro. So like we go all the way up to Indiana during Thanksgiving and we lose to this Indiana team. And I was pissed, dog. I played well, and like it was cool or whatever, but I was really upset. That 6-hour drive back really had me heated. And I couldn't, there was no leftovers. I had to go home. It was dark. So ever since then, if somebody asks, we have to get rid of one state from the United States, guess who I'm picking? Delaware is safe.
Indiana.
Indiana, it's a
Wow, man, that's crazy. So first thing, I figured you were gonna say they got y'all McDonald's. I figured you were gonna say, oh, they gave us McDonald's for Thanksgiving or some
I
shit
would
like
have
that.
preferred that. I would have preferred that, bro.
Damn. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sorry that you had that experience, and I'm sorry to all of our Indiana listeners. Hey, it is what it is. You feel me?
And I hate it because I like this song too. I'm really pissed. I wanted to hate this song so bad, but it's so good.
Great
Anywho,
story. Great story.
yeah, whatever. I don't like telling that story. Next song is the $6 Million Man. So this is where things take. I feel like for me, right, and this is kind of the tail of the tape for me. The last 3 songs they're iffy for me. Like I'm not big fans of these. Starting with this one, which is I think my least favorite of the whole track, mainly because we've talked about it before, how like if it's like a rock sample or like a harder sample, it can like drown out what Charles is saying. And I feel like they were clashing against each other. And then like I want to hear that hook because I think the hook is good and I get it because $6 million man, we rebuild you. He's basically a machine. However, I can't hear it because of that sample. So it's really low. And like you really have to get the headphones to be able to hear it. And so like it's like that one. I'm like, I could probably do without this one.
Same sentiments when I first heard the song. I feel like this is one of those Charles songs where when he goes on the defensive and he talks about like his music and his life, where he's like defending why he does the thing he does with his music.
Mhm.
And it's understandable because there's a method to all of our madness. But it's one of those things where I don't think that the song translated well. I know I want to say Harlem's Verbal Kent, I think it was that song, or maybe it was Department of Social Services. You said the hook you weren't really a fan of. It was like he could have did better with the hook.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like that with this hook because he's talking about how he never messes up and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, hey, I get what he's doing. Sometimes you do like a simple hook. That doesn't really matter. Just do a simple hook. But I don't think the song just translated well. I was like, it's okay. So
Yeah.
I don't have too much to say about it, but I get exactly what you mean. I kind of felt like that because everything else, I'm like, for as much shit that Charles gets for freestyling and doing certain songs on beats, I'm like, these songs have been great so far. I've been enjoying them. But then this is, like you said, it takes a dip, and I'm like, this is where I see the losing focus type thing, where it's like, okay, he's freestyling, the verses are good, but it's like it just doesn't not memorable. I'm like, okay,
Yeah, that's the word. Like it didn't have the staying power. Next one was I believe is Ooh Wee. I believe is what it's called.
yeah,
This one is interesting, and it's not it's higher than the $6 Million Man, but same thing. It's just like it's it just didn't connect for me. Solid entry, but I just feel like again, it wouldn't be something I run to. You know what I mean?
right. So with this song, I didn't know what to expect. Just seeing the name of the song, I was like, ooh wee, like okay, ooh wee, ooh.
I thought of the Rick and Morty character. Ooh wee.
Oh man. So I didn't know what to expect from All right, hold up. All right. So I didn't know what to expect, but it's one of those, I feel like the song's okay. It's like you said, I like it a bit better than the last one. I feel like this song will definitely grow on me more. Like I'll enjoy it a little bit more. Like the more times I listen to it, but first time listening to it, second time, I'm like, it's okay, you know. I like I said, I felt like maybe because the name of the song, I felt like he's going to have more of a disco-esque dancey feel to it, maybe. But overall, like I said, I'm cool with it though. I definitely like it a lot more than the last one.
Yeah. The song wraps up with, I believe it's called YouTube Matrimony.
Yep,
Yes.
that is
YouTube
correct.
Matrimony. You want to go first with this one?
Oh, I do.
Oh, good.
You see what I did? Yeah, I got you.
That's
So,
funny. That is hilarious,
with
actually. That's hilarious.
hey man, dad jokes, we got them. We got them in stock. So, so with this song, I didn't know what to expect. Again, title of the song, YouTube Matrimony. I'm like, let's check it out.
Mm,
So, from the notes I have, I feel like there is a deeper meaning to the song, but
mm,
Charles talks about a lot of things in this song.
mm,
So first verse, he's talking about his cousin, MC Light. If y'all don't know, MC Light and Charles Hampton, they are related.
mhm.
But he's talking about just, I guess, some issues she might have had with the music industry, and maybe some issues, some personal issues she had, and him wanting to stand up for her and defend Big Cousin and whatnot. So I'm like, all right, cool. You know, he's also in the hook chorus. He's talking about how he won't be televised, you know, the music won't be televised, all that type of deal. Then he starts, I think the second verse gets into the industry and just how some people get down in the industry. This is one of those like left songs, I'll say. He's talking about some things that I'm pretty sure his label, like if he's actually signed to like a major label, they'd be like, you probably shouldn't put this song out.
Mhm.
But he's talking about like some industry acts, some certain things that have been done around him or other people have done. And I know he mentions, hey, I don't regret anything I've done. It is what it is, you know? So I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, I respect it. Third verse talks about magic because as y'all know, Charles says in a lot of songs, he acknowledges the power of magic.
Mhm.
Talks about Wicca.
Yep.
And I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with that. Have you ever heard of Charles talking about Wiccan and Wicca and all that type of
Yeah.
jazz?
Yeah, that came about in his later years.
Yeah.
That was an introduction, yeah.
Yeah. So like, you know, he's talking about that. And this is what I will say. If you guys don't know anything about Wicca, Google's free. Look it up. I won't mention it on here. I think sometimes you guys might need more of a better definition or more of someone else telling you a little bit more about it. Because
Mhm.
with me, I don't partake in it, and I don't want to, you know, say the wrong thing and kind of give it a bad name. So
Sure.
I'll say look that up. But he's almost everywhere with the whole song, talking about different things, and it's an okay song. I do understand he's trying to spill his heart out on the track, and he's saying certain things and trying to get y'all to understand. But
Mhm.
this is one of them songs again where I'm like, it's an okay song, but I'm not sure if it did what it needed to do to get people to feel it, you know?
Right. Yeah, I think it's crazy because I wanna like the kinda like the hook. The hook is really good. The way the hook is good. I think where I get taken out is and it doesn't happen every time it occurs, but if I notice it and it's like a harsh, like, aggressive use of it, and then it throws me off. So when he kinda uses the slur in the middle,
Uh
that's why I'm just like, "Ah," it takes me out of it. You know what I'm saying? But it doesn't like I said, it doesn't do that every time if he does it, you know what I'm saying? Because again, different times, whatever, we've grown and, I can't remember the last time I've heard him actually use the word, but, I can't control people's use of the word, right? But for me,
right.
it is one of those things where if I hear it and it's like in a jarring way, especially with the content that he was talking about, it takes me out of it, you know what I'm saying? Um,
Yeah.
because other than that, I like the hook and like the first verse is really good. And yeah, I just that's it's one of those ones where like I wish I could like it more, but yeah, I just get taken out from there.
Yeah. And then of course I understand that, like you said, like this is 2014 when the project came out. I will definitely say at this time, people were still talking like that, still using that type of language, maybe not as much, but it was still prevalent in rap, you know.
Yeah.
What I will say is this, to each their own. because people will always make the music that they want to make.
Mhm.
At the same time, though, with how we are in 2023 now, you got to hold people up to certain standards. And I will
Sure.
say this. So even though that this project came out in 2014, 2015, when Charles got signed to Term First Last Republic,
Mhm.
there was no, he cleaned up all of his, left doings and whatnot. Like, if I remember, he talked about Republic and them saying, hey, we don't want you talking about Sega. We don't want you talking about,
Yeah.
going left, talking about some of the topics you talk about. Please refrain from that. And he did. There's certain things where you could tell he was being a little resentful, where he will kind of want to mention it, but he knew he couldn't. But
Yeah.
he was very clean about how he delivered his raps. And this is the unfiltered version because he could say and do what he wanted. So I will give props to Charles for that. When it came to him being on a actual major label or any type of record label, if he had to clean up his act and he was told not to talk about certain things, he wouldn't. And I think that's one of the things, though. Like, when you have that freedom to make whatever you want, you can, but you do have to take in the consequences of, hey, some of this is a little offensive,
Yeah.
and it's not going to be everyone's cup of tea. So you got to keep that in mind
Yeah.
because everyone's different.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like like I said, for us, like we talked about it before, but like we don't, we're not fans of that word and certain stuff. You know what I'm saying? So,
Right.
that's just um fortunately, this kind of comes with the Charles Hamilton territory or whatever, because it does come up often. Maybe not as often as I'm thinking. You know what I'm saying? But like when it happens, you hear it and you're like,
Yeah.
oh, and it kind of hit like cuts like, oh, you know what I'm saying? Like, I wish he didn't use that word because he's too talented that he could come up with a different word. I've seen him rhyme stuff where I'm like, how did you come up with this? You know what I'm saying? Like, you're way too you're way more clever to just be saddled with that word or whatever. But it's one of those things where it's just part of the journey, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But 2023, man, how do you feel about Chronometry in 2023? And what are we rating it, man? What you got?
All right. So 2023, I feel like this tape is pretty decent. I felt like I was going into this, I was, having not negative feelings, but I was like, I didn't know how I was going to feel about it. I was like,
Mhm.
man, I don't know. But 2023, after listening to it a few times, I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Personally enjoyed it. Few songs that I'm like, whatever. But I would listen to this again. Like, especially within this time period, 2014. This is definitely something that I would recommend. I'll say, if we're doing the rating system, Bass Sonic,
Okay.
good project. I feel like people should check it out. Especially for the people that are kind of iffy on the, hey, lo-fi Charles freestyling on all the songs. Like, this is something I would definitely tell you to check out. I know we're gonna come across some other tapes that are going to be around this time period, and I think this is one of the ones that you definitely should check out first. Out of the ones that you're not sure of or you don't know how to navigate,
Mhm.
because Charles has so many projects from '08 to now, that if you're in this time period of, okay, what was pretty good around this time, I would tell people check this out. 10 songs, pretty easy listen to. It's not extensive. It's not like 25 songs like a Chris Brown album or anything like that. So
Right. Okay. So this was interesting because it's like based on it, I feel like it's reserved for certain tapes, right?
okay.
I'm thinking like the ones I think are like Sonic level tapes, and I'm trying to figure out if I'm not sure if that reaches that level, and I'm kind of leaning toward Tails for this week because it's one of those ones. Again, I listened to it before, and I was like, okay, I picked up two, and that was cool. But now I've
Right.
come back, and I'm like, wait, there's a lot more heat here that I didn't give the right like chance to. You know what I'm saying?
True.
So, you know, this is another one of those like background like you're digging and you're like, oh, what's this? Let me see what this is. And you go in there, you're like, oh, there's some good stuff here. I feel like the first half is like really good. I would say that first seven, like if this was a 7-song tape and it just those last three were cut off, this might be I probably would have put it at Sonic level base. Maybe even closer to Supersonic than I would like to realize. Maybe like a 5 Chaos Emerald type Sonic. You know what I'm saying? Didn't get the last two, but he had a few on there. You know what I mean? But yeah, like I said, there's a lot of really good songs on here. Ones that I discovered this past like Pedigree is definitely going on a playlist. Even Bird Country that's going on the playlist. To be fair to those people in Indiana, they were like, man, you're really good, you're really nice, and we really like watching you play. So to be fair, they were okay. They were really nice people. I just did not like being in that state at the time.
I get it.
Yeah. I think Tails is a solid rating for me, man. I'm very pleasantly surprised by how much I actually like this tape today than I did before.
I respect that. Like we talked about it before on one of the previous episodes. When you first listen to something and it's like, all right, but you go back and listen to it again and you slept on it. You're like, oh man, like I didn't really give this a fair shot.
Yeah.
And that's what I challenge a lot of other Star Chasers to do. Give some of these tapes a fair shot. Check it out. At least listen to it the whole way through, no skipping, because you might miss something.
Yeah.
I could definitely say if I did listen to this in 2014, I didn't give it a fair listen. At least with this year now, 2023, I definitely gave it at least 2-3 fair listens, and I'm like, okay, I definitely can pinpoint what I like and what I don't like, and I can express it, not just say, oh, I just didn't like it. It wasn't for me. No.
Right.
I respect it. I got you.
Well, man, we did it. We did our own time measurement today, and I feel like we're at a good time to wrap things up. Be sure to follow us and subscribe to the YouTube channel, Star Chaser Central. You can also follow us on TikTok at Star Chaser Central, and you can also follow us on X at Star CH Central. Am I right?
That's correct.
Nice.
Wait, no.
Oh,
you're wrong. It's not X. It's Twitter.
Yeah, my fault. That's my B. That's my B. Yeah, that's my B.
Nah, you good, man. You can call it X. I'm just not gonna call it. Nah, you got it right though. Yeah. Like Stik said, we're on YouTube. We got the TikTok, going off. We have the Twitter, the Twitter, the Tweeter, the X, whatever you want to call it, the YZ, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, we're on there. Also, you're probably listening to this already on a DSP, but we are on streaming because there are some people that they just watch these on YouTube. We are on Spotify and Apple and wherever you get your DSPs from. Check us out there too. Feel free. Like if you just want the audio experience, we got it for you.
You can also follow us, man, on our individual spots. I'm on Instagram at StikAround54. That's STIK around 54. Mike, where can they find you, buddy?
Instagram, the Mike Jackson, THE Mike Jackson. On Twitter, you can find me at Mike D Jackson. That's Mike DEE Jackson. 1D, 2 E's.
Continue to interact with us, man. We like when you guys comment on our stuff. We've had some cool interactions with people chatting about some fun stuff. What is that?
So you didn't see it, but I said Mike D Jackson, 1D, 2 E's. And then I was like, am I reversed? I'm like, hopefully I'm not reversed, because if I went like this and then the camera was reversed, it's like it's gonna be a B, it's gonna look stupid. But
that's
anyway.
That's gonna be hilarious. I think it is reversed. That's the worst part.
Anyway, so that's why I was like, am I doing a B? Am I doing a D? Whatever. Anyway, 1D, 2 E's. Fuck it. Go ahead.
We like it. We like interacting with y'all, man. We've had like some fun conversations. Yeah. So continue to throw those comments to us. Retweet us, post your favorite stuff. When we ask what your favorite songs are, let us know, man. We like chatting with y'all, man. We have not had anyone get upset at us about some of our choices, and that's good. I think that's a solid start to this journey.
I appreciate it because like we know I don't have the most popular opinions, but like I said, no one has threatened to drop an elbow on us or knock us out, so works for me.
Yes, sir. But yeah, man, Be sure to let us know what you want us to review next. Any projects, albums, songs. We could do like a song breakdown, lyric breakdowns of some of your favorite songs. We'll try. We're not like, we don't know what he's talking about half the time. We're just guessing. So we'll give our own interpretation of it, man. And maybe Charles will comment and let us know exactly what some of these songs mean too, because he's pretty open to doing that. But of course, we are logging off for the Star Chaser Central, where we always encourage you to follow your dreams
and reach for the stars.